Hi everyone, and welcome to today's haircut. Today in the chair I've got Hazel. Hazel's come to me and said she wants not sure, which was a really fun thing, part of the consultation, which you'll see in a minute. But the idea behind it is I get to do whatever I want today, so let's dive right in. So Hazel, you're here for a haircut? Excellent. What do we want to do today? Do you have anything in mind that you want to do, that you're thinking? I know you said earlier that I can do whatever I want, but is there any restrictions that you've got for me?
Just not short.
Just not short?
I don't like it short.
That's no worries at all.
Yeah.
What's short for you?
Like
Here?
that.
So anywhere below here is safe for me to work with.
Yeah.
Listen, as I've been cutting your hair for a while, I love your hair when it's long, so I'm going to keep the length to it. But I know, as you said, we can do whatever I want, so I get to have some fun. Look at that, I love that. So for me, when I look at your hair, like I see a lot of width through this area, I want to start to bring that up a little bit so we can start to balance that shape out, that width out with layering. So I want to put a few layers through it. I know with the density and the curl that you wear, it's going to get a bit big if we go too short with the layers. So I just want to shorten those a little bit to take away the bulkiness from the shoulder. But what I've always said with you, which I'd love to do, is lay around the front. So we can start to give a lot more movement and a lot more energy around the face. So just as if you can imagine this kind of sort of shape where I'm bringing this up, you're seeing this movement around the face, this shape here. Not a fringe, because do we need to tie it back for sports or anything?
Not really.
Not really. So we've got that length. If we want to sort of work a shorter area, we can, but just be cautious not to go too short around the face as well. But this kind of shape for me, where it's a lot more layered around the front, is going to be really important. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get you shampooed. Lots of wonderful suds when the hair is nice and clean. Look at that, perfect.
You said you've been in DC?
Yeah, quite a bit. Actually, funny if you might see my computer up on in the other room. They're doing a Zoom call right there now.
Oh.
So yeah, it's been a bit of a process to get all underway, but we're launching in March now, which will be fun. More stuff, just hope it takes off.
Yeah.
But I'll be there literally once a month moving forward now.
So what exactly is it that you're doing there then?
So that's teaching a salon basically how to teach.
Oh.
So applying the conditioner, lots of luscious conditioner, working from the roots, and then working through all the way through to the ends, letting the hair soak up that product just so it's really soft. Work through a nice massage for my client. Allowing the hair time to absorb the product. So just working through a detangler, spraying through mid-lengths and ends, a little bit over the roots, a nice even spray all the way through, just to help give the hair a little bit of shine, a little bit of slip as I go through to detangle. Going to use a nice wide tooth comb to help me detangle the hair, starting from the ends, working up mid-lengths and then into the roots. I always find there's a little technique that when I work from the underneath of the hair rather than on top, it detangles a little bit quicker, a little bit smoother as well. Less pulling, less tugging for my client's hair. And I can work the details back and forth, but always a nice little tip and trick to work with. Pre-section, come through to the center and just continue that same technique again and again until we finish combing the hair and when we're ready to take our sections. Working now with a finer teeth comb, actually my cutting comb I'm going to be working with today, just to really make sure the hair is nice, evenly, smoothly combed through from roots to tip. So again, evenly comb the hair through from roots to tip. And this is when you'll find the product really starts to work and the absorption of that product has happened to the hair, that you can start to see it and feel it as well. So here we go. Now, as I'm moving through this section, I'm now starting to think of the sectioning pattern that I'm going to work on and all the details I'm going to work with in the haircut. Knowing Hazel's hair so well, keeping length for me is really, really important. So I'm going to be working a lot of my sectioning pattern above the curvature so I can keep the density and the thickness in my perimeter edge of the hair. But start to work a softer, more cut into disheveled layering above the curvature of the head itself. So get all the loose bits of hair out of the way, make sure we're nice, ready to go. So here we go, ready to place our sections in. So to start with, I'm going to work around the front area. I know I want a fringe, a detail around the face. So to work that, I'm going to be thinking about how deep or how wide I want the fringe to be. So to start looking at the shape, I can start to see that through the center. And Hazel, do you wear your hair in the center most of the time, left or right?
Usually the center or a little bit to my left.
A little bit to left, perfect. So I'm going to work just all back. I'm going to comb the hair forward, just push forward a little bit, find where the natural parting is. We can see why Hazel wears her hair to the left a lot, because the natural parting sits there. So I will work through the natural parting. I'm going to work a diagonal forward, just a couple of inches back, because that's the depth I want, to my recession area, and remove that. And it doesn't have to be a full fringe, it's just an area around the hair that can allow the front to move and to detail. Actually, just looking at the shape, I do want to take this just a little bit thinner actually. I want to work just a little bit further forward and not have such a prominent fill around the face. So let's go through and just shorten that. A little bit of detail there, a little bit wider. So as you can see, I subdivided this area, but I just want a bit more width through that front, just so it can naturally fall down and pull the fringe away from the face more. And that's the reasons for taking those partings. I'm not going to subdivide them at the moment, I'm just going to comb them out the way and let them just hang as I go through to place the sections. Now through the back area, I know I want to put a lot of layers around the front. I want to get a lot of movement in this area, a lot of detail. So I will start to look on the side of the head where the head starts to curve, allowing me to understand that anything in front of the curvature will push the hair forward, anything behind the curvature will push the hair back. So with that in place, I can then start to think about where I want all of the shape to fall in the front. So this would be perfect for me. As you can see, it's residing naturally just around the top or the front of the ear. This will allow all of this hair to sit around my face, and then the hair to come down, hit the shoulder, but importantly, sit in front of the shoulder, give them a bit more depth and a bit more width as well. Repeat that same process on the other side. So comb the hair down to the side, come all the way down. Because again, it may change with the curvature of the head. It might not be even on both sides. We might find that one part of the head, due to hair growth patterns, due to structures of the skull, it might move in different areas. So for me, as I start to move that and see where the breaks naturally happen, we can see we're around about here. So I'm going to work down to the front, and as we can naturally see, we're further in front of the ear on this side than we are on the other side. So we'll let that stay in place. And this is when we're working with the hair's natural fall, the hair's natural growth patterns. This is what allows us to create a perfect bespoke haircut for each client. So just comb that, twist that. Now I'm going to work round to my layers in the center. So for this positioning, I want to start to understand what kind of shape do I want Hazel to have. Now, I don't want to create a lot of width around here because I know it's going to get very wide, very square. I want more layering to it, but I want to maintain a bit more sort of shape, a bit more weight in the back. So allowing the hair to sort of fall back within this area. So I'm going to work quite high up. I'm going to work down just to a natural point. Quite low through my center, as you can see my center. So just working nice and high, dropping down nice and low. So that will be the natural contours or the natural flow of my layering pattern, using the sectioning pattern to allow the shape to develop. I'll comb this out of the way. We will clip this side to start. Push that around. Make sure that it's nice and out of the way, so easy for me to work with, easy for me to work around the section pattern for my client and for me when I'm working. Place my finger at the bottom, do the same process again, look at the curvature where the hair is going to start to curve, take a guide from that point, just working above the main curvature itself, and then just draw a line down to my finger, allowing that hair to all sit naturally inside. I'm going to come just a little bit lower and just scoop that around just so I can have a few more layers in there. There we go, get that right. Third time's a charm, perfect. Just so that can fall naturally to that corner. Same process again, let's comb the hair nice and clean from the roots. Comb out, twist, and then clip. We will be cutting this section as a singular section later on, so we don't have to worry about the partings or how it's sitting at the moment. We will be re-establishing this and taking a guide from the center before we start. As I said before, we're working on a natural structure of the skull, working on a natural positioning, so I don't want to worry too much about things being 100% balanced because the head itself isn't 100% symmetrical. So through that process, I know I'm working very natural, the hair's going to follow its own natural shape. And when Hazel does her hair natural at home, whether we're working with curl, whether we're working with a natural finish or even blow dry and straight, it's going to fall really nice for her, which is the main process. So we are going to start cutting with the perimeter. So I'm going to grab my scissors, I'm going to be working square across the back, and I'm going to point cut just about an inch or so off this length. So start from the center, take that guide, let it be the width of my fingers as I go through to point cut. Going to point cut back and forth. As we know, short hair pushes long hair, so the direction of the hair will grow in the direction that we cut. So by working back and forth with the scissor blade, it allows the hair to sit a little bit straighter, but also have direction and fluidity on both sides. I'm going to turn my body just to the side a little bit, so I can then cut through to this corner. And as you can see, opening my finger up as I go through this corner, and just point cut back and forth, allowing that shape to happen. So coming through to the corner, back and forth again, sometimes not, sometimes more, depending on the shape. As we know, that shape in there now, slight rounding up the corner just to push the hair into the center when we need. Always creating that natural guide, that natural fluidity and flow that we want with the hair. So really understanding how the scissors enter the hair is really, really important. It's not just about how we're cutting, it's about the feeling that we want to provide for the client as well. Balance is good. One length's in there, let's move on to the front. Now this is where the fun will really start. This is where the good stuff happens. So working through the front, I'm going to comb the hair forward. I want the fringe to just sort of sit back away from the face. Because with Hazel it's really nice when it opens the face up, giving more light to the cheekbones and the jaw. So just by combing forward, I get a chance just to sort of flip the hair back around. Extend the length, I can ribbon that if I want to, and then cut from the underneath, working up. And that shape just to sit back through the face. Let's have that a little bit shorter. Working a nice deep point cut in there, really shatter that through. The idea here is not to be too structured with it. And then every time I drop it down, check in to make sure I like the look and the feel that I'm starting to see. So being very visual with it for me is really important. So I can really sort of see how that shape develops and the look that we get as well. Knowing that we can brush that back for softness, knowing that we can wear that forward, you know, it has lots of variety by working with the over direction as well. From here, doing the same on the other side. I'm then going to turn the hair around and cut up from underneath. That allows me to then keep in the same positioning with the hair on both sides. Okay, happy with that little shape? Okay. Now let's work even more layers through the front. So now when we're working with the front, I want to maintain a lot of over direction, a lot of texture through this front area. I want this to be very soft. So as it falls back away, we start to see a lot more of a cascading shape, a lot more of a broken shape, but blending in and around the fringe. Where we are working the section that's down the side of the head, we can start to comb forward, allowing this shape to then layer as it resides naturally in its position of natural fall. So using over direction as our guide to length, really. I'm not going to put a bend or a twist to this. This can be worked whichever way we want. Guide to length, very importantly, just to check that we're around about the same as our fringe, so we know the shape we're working. Coming forward, laying the hair across the fingers, trying to cut up as much as possible, incorporating the next side. And blending up all the way through. So this shape will put layers around the face, put movement to it, give texture and feeling. It can be disconnected from the perimeter, which is absolutely fine. It can be connected. I know my perimeter length on the front is going to be similar to that at the back because of the length I'm working towards. As we see that shape, you can comb down, see movement, softness around the face, lots of texture, lots of beautiful layering around the area. So comb forward again, and that guide, let's take a little corner off here, then start to cut into to soften the hair. As you can see, as I'm closing the blade, I'm not closing the blade fully on every cut, but what I'm starting to create is a texture and a softness by letting the blade naturally close, so it's softer as I go through to create these separations. And then just repetition. One of the key things to cutting is the detail of repetition, just creating the same result again and again and again, and repeating that same technique on the area. So every time the scissors enter the hair, I'm really focusing on looking on the details, how it's going to sit, what it's going to look like, the finish, the fill. So every cut, every scissor strike, there's a purpose for it. It's not just about doing it on blindly, it's about thinking, seeing, and checking everything as we go. Little just connection to the fringe. So let me get rid of that bit there. I like that bit there, but I want to just cut into here. So build up that connection a little bit more. So as I start to move that, I can easily see just that softness, those layers, that texture, very natural organic finish and feel already around the face. So let's move on to the layers, the final part of the haircut. And I want to maintain a flatter feel through the top. And I want to maintain a longer area through the center. So the idea of this part of the haircut is to be slightly shorter on the outsides and longer in the center. So let's re-establish a profile through the center. Goes on one side, can go on the other side. So I'm going to start on this corner. I'm going to keep that nice and flat. The flatter I keep this with my elevation, the flatter the shape will be around the top, the more layers I get through the underneath. The more I start to lift the hair up, the more it's going to want to go round and have me around a fuller shape around the crown area, around the top. So I actually want to maintain the flatness in the overall shape. I do want to work just off the corner of the head because I want it to be shorter, go into longer. So I will comb out to the side, find my guide, or find the length I want to work to. So knowing that I want to take about 1 inch or so off my perimeter, cut up all the way. And can soften here again as well. So knowing here now when I put that shape down to the side, I can see soft layers blending towards the center. And then when we brush it back, again, you'll see soft layers towards the center as well. I repeat the same technique with the middle. So as I'm combing the centre over, I'm keeping, this is travelling a lot further distance, so it will naturally be longer. Following that same shape, coming from the top. Going into to soften. Sometimes it's more about the weight you take out than the length you remove. So that in place, re-establish. Place to the centre and then re-establish my guide onto this side. So let's get a guide to length. Okay, and we'll make sure we want to go nice and long. And this is very visual with the cut. So the idea within this is we're not following too many parameters of technicality. We're actually being quite visual. We're letting the organic feel, the organicness of the cut become apparent. We want to have softness, to have movement. We want the hair to feel like it's grown out a little bit. Knowing Hazel's hair, how we wear it many different ways. We wear it curly, we wear it straight. We want to maintain that versatility, which is really, really important for her and for me as well. Okay, take the 2 sections on the guides. Let's check those. Still a little bit longer on this corner. Let's double check that through the center to make sure we're in the same position. Yep, so still just a tiny bit to come off this area here. My perimeter, I know I'm in a good place because we've worked to the previous haircut. So I know my shape in the perimeter is good. I'm just working to my internals, making sure they're nice and balanced, but more of a visual balance than a technical balance. Again, because this is a very visual haircut. Taking the center, combing over to the right-hand side now. Make sure my sections are nice and clean. Combing down, point cutting up, and working through to connect my balance and details all the way. And here we go. From this point, we're going to comb the layers down. As you can see through the camera, longer towards that center, but a beautiful cascading layer on the side. When I connect all of those in together, you can see those layers working down to the corner. This is when we will now go through and connect into the perimeter and just check the overall shape all the way through. Hazel, how's the haircut feeling?
Good.
So far you liking the length? Mm-hmm. Feels confident?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Just take your head back for me just slightly. Perfect. It's beautiful layers moving down to the edge. With the shape in place, I'm going to work through with a blow dry lotion to give a bit of volume, to give some hold to the hair. Just want a nice light spray all the way through. So as I pick the hair up, just want to maintain some lift and some volume, grabbing the hair as I spray the product. All the way through, so really allowing that product to encapsulate the whole hair shaft, product everywhere. Again, give a little shake, give a little bit of movement to it. Really let that product absorb into, as I squeeze the product into the hair. There we go. Yeah, but that's why when I thought you was coming out, I was like, that'd be perfect. Big, long, luscious hair. Dry yours with a little twist to it, and everyone will be like, wow, look at that. That's it, yeah. I'm YouTube famous. That's it. Be part of your portfolio moving forward. That's it. So just with the front dried in place, we're going to let that set, work through, just a nice sort of soft shape to it. We'll dress it out more later, but at the moment we're just looking good with that nice sort of curl and that nice wave. We might reinforce some areas as we move on through. But just dried the front very naturally, not really taking any set sections or any details to it, just working vertical, working back, and just some sections forward, some sections back, a bit more horizontal, just really being natural with the organic finish to it. The back I'm going to be a bit looser, take some larger sections and just smooth it over, so a bigger, fuller curl through the back, so a little bit tighter into a bigger, fuller curl to finish. Okay, so blow dry is complete. We're getting through just that nice sort of soft, rough blow dry. Put a little bit of twist to it, a little bit of bend to it. I'm going to put some product through now, just as a shine-based product. Give myself a little bit of control and hold as I go to brush through. And if I need to re-establish any curl with the blow dry, I can do it then. This is just giving me a little bit more definition as I go through to finish. So everything's looking good for me so far. I'm liking what I'm seeing, liking the result. We're going to go through, comb the hair through, check the haircut, make sure everything works really well, and then do a final finish. It's what we sometimes call it personalizing, detailing. We want to go through to do, so I can see here. I just need to elevate this area. Find that corner, there it is that we can see. So where we are working with such a loose point cut within the cut itself, we just might need to address this kind of cut afterwards, just to allow the hair to finish. Sometimes that's perfect, because it allows us just to recheck the haircut, soften any areas. If we work with an elevation, we start to layer and soften even more. So we can change the angle just to allow things to blend a little bit more. So when we do wear the hair naturally, and Hazel's at home, and she wears the hair in different shapes, different feelings, it blends and sits a bit softer. So again, just point cutting, just following that same shape. Really looking at each cut we do, just to make sure that we're just softening, removing length, being very visual, and not taking too much out. I'm just after detailing that shape all the way through. As you can see through the back here, that wonderful shape, nice soft texture. As I mentioned, I don't want a lot of curl. I just want a bit more texture within that movement in the hair as we go. And I think for me, one of the biggest things that I've learned through my career is to know when to stop. You know, it's know when enough is enough and not get too carried away. If I'm liking the shape, I don't want to just keep cutting for the sake of it. When I'm seeing the finish, seeing the result, I'm liking what I'm seeing, it's all moving right, know when to stop. A lot of times when you're personalizing, less is always more. It's really important to understand that, to not get too carried away and just do it for the sake of it. If you do it and it makes the hair look good, stop. Each section deserves its own attention when you're personalizing. So I'm going to work with a bit of a shine serum through here, a bit of a treatment. So very light spray. I'm holding the hair up just to allow it to have a little bit more saturation. A little bit on my hands. As I now start to just shake it out, pull that through. And I'm just using the grip of my hands, but not combing through too much, just allowing the palms themselves just to hold the hair as I shake it for that detail. So Hazel, what do you think? You like it? A bit more movement in the front, a bit more detail, a bit more energy going on?
Yeah.
Nice, love it. Thank you for letting me do your hair today. I've had an absolute pleasure cutting your hair and creating the new style for you. Thank you. Thank you everyone. I hope you enjoyed the education, hope you enjoyed the techniques, the tips, seeing the haircut. Please feel free to like and subscribe and join us in another video.